of the things that we're very fortunate to have in my organization is we're part of, not exactly an incubator, but the community was very sort of prescient, if I could use that word, years ago, because there was I think a department store that was closing down, and rather than being converted into another retail space, a number of donors and patrons intervened and purchased the building and retrofitted it with offices so that as many arts organizations as possible could all be housed under one roof. So that was a very, I think, an early step that was ahead of its time in terms of the sort of concept of it. And I think now the organizations are finally having the conversations that perhaps those patrons and donors had in mind, which is, well, what sort of efficiencies can we now build now that we're all so close to each other? So there are some conversations that are beginning to swirl around the offices about, well, maybe we all don't need a separate accountant, maybe we all don't need a separate marketing director or something like that, because I think that is one of the overwhelming senses that has come out of the recent economic downturn, which is, well, we're all in it together, and maybe there's more to be gained from helping each other and doing things together. Not to say, I think collaboration is one of those words that's getting thrown around very very loosely these days. And while I'm a big supporter of collaborations that hopefully add up to greater than the sum of its parts, I think that they can. I mean, it's not necessarily good for its own sake. But I think there are several ways in which organizations can share their resources without blurring the lines too much, and find ways to reinforce each other's missions in a way that would be a little bit more difficult, I think, if everyone was just sort of scattered around the city. So I think not every situation would allow organizations to be in a sort of incubator type space, but I would recommend, I think, not only to other organizations, but I would take this concept with me if I were to move on to another situation, to seek out ways in which I might be able to find some efficiencies with other organizations, because it's easier than we have a part-time accountant, for example, and she is a part-time development professional for a sort of a similar sister organization, and it works out really, really well for us, because I think it sets a tone for a much more congenial relationship between the two organizations than might otherwise exist, considering some of the conversations that I'm sure go on in the boardroom, like, well, how come they did so well with that initiative, and ours failed, or ours, didn't succeed in the same way. So it takes some of the contention out of it, I think. So.